is what I have going on. I just got these magnetic hooks from Lowe's. I went back to Lowe's. Menards is just so far away, and they did have it in, they had lots of nice people there that were helping me, so that was good, but otherwise I never would have found these. This is the only kind they had. The hooks look really cheap, the hook part, but the magnet is really strong. I'm just waiting for the day when this breaks off and I have to reattach it somehow, but it was all they had, and I just wanted him. It's not wise, but I will just make that choice because I do not just want to shop around and drive all over. If there's the option there, I'll get it and I can move on, and that's worth it to me. But what I've done is I took the Acopower and I hung it with these hooks, and then I just used these things to prop it up on the bus so I can do this. It looks pretty cool, I think. So, hey lady, it looks hilarious in here. It looks like Blossom lives in a bus. Blossom from the 90s. So I wanted to try to, oh, this is the bus so far. That door is going to go right there. So I'm going to have a separate kind of back room, garagey area. I have all kinds of plans for this area. You can't see any of it because it's just got junk in it right now. That's my girl lady. We are full-time in the bus, her and I, and you know what, man? It feels so good. It's so cheesy. But every day we wake up in here in the bed together, and we just take care of ourselves, and every day I try to work on music and try to work on the bus. Sorry, I'm sitting. Things are not, nothing is really where it's going to finally be. Oh, over here is, so that's going to be, eventually be where all my personal storage is. Right, a lady was using it as a shelter last night because I was finishing the bed frame. Can you see it? There it is. You can't really even see it, but I finished it last night. I didn't want to sleep on it and stable one more night. I gotta hurry, I'm just rambling. So, anyway, I was gonna talk about, about how, I saw this video, I like to react to videos, of a girl saying her response to some unofficial Asperger checklist. And Asperger's and what it is, like, have kind of recently come into my life. Sounds weird, but kind of through YouTube. I think YouTube tried to tell me I had Asperger's. Suddenly, things about females with Asperger's and all these like TED Talks and things about Asperger's, and I started coming into my feed. I finally clicked on one, and I was like, wow. And I understand, you know, I come from a cultural environment where mental illness is not really taken seriously. And this is not a debate about that. I do believe that mental health is a real thing. You know, your brain is, you know, an organ in your body, and it needs to be healthy, and it can be unhealthy just like any other organ in your body. Anyway, let's go on. So I know I'm not really looking for some kind of official diagnosis, and I know that to get diagnosed with Asperger's or with anything, really, if you think you're that severe, I guess I do, to where it's affecting your everyday life, you know what the textbooks say is please, that's when you know when it's affecting your ability to live and the quality of your life. It's when you know to go maybe talk to someone. But I used to be a nurse, so I don't take my own advice. That's how it works. So anyway, I know that there's also this culture of oh, do we all need to diagnose ourselves with something? I think the study of the mind is so, we're learning so much about it, and That's such an understatement. But it could just be that we're discovering all the types of people that can be, all the different ways the brain can work, and that's all, you know, that's okay. You know, and not that this has to necessarily define anyone's life, although I can say that I will be honest, and once I started learning about Asperger's, even if I don't really have Asperger's, you know, that's fine. Just knowing and suddenly discovering and seeing all these different people that seemed to exist in a way that I exist has been at least so very comforting. And if you don't know what I mean by that, that's okay. But I just feel like I've always existed in a different way that everyone else exists. I'm not trying to be existential. I just mean I've just always been told I was weird. I've always felt I was different and not really ever understood why, or meaning to do that, or doing anything to elicit that response, and then suddenly just being told your whole life that you're weird. And also just being generally confused, and on the flip coin side of that, like, just hyper intrigued by humanity. Before I started learning about Asperger's, I used to say things, honestly, about how I just find people so interesting because I don't understand them at all. And it was like my goal when I graduated high school, that in anything I do, I just wanted to get more experiences so that I could try to understand people more. Because people were such a puzzle to me, and I thought the ability to identify with someone seemed like, to me, such the essence of humanity. Such, you know, to be able to identify with another human being just seems like such a greatly rewarding thing. Probably because I didn't get it very often. Anyway, let's move on. So the other reason why, if you look online, there's lots of, I didn't even realize, there's lots of women coming out thinking they have Asperger's because they're finding out more about Asperger's and how the original kind of diagnostic criteria they used may have, I mean, they were based on observations of boys. And without trying to be sexist, but just that was the environment and in which it was discovered, or kind of pointed out and things like that. And then as the years have gone on, obviously at first they didn't think girls had Asperger's, and now they're kind of discovering, yes, girls do have Asperger's, and not that it's just that it presents a lot of times in girls in a very different way. And everyone's different, and that's why all of these, a lot of women or girls would go undiagnosed with Asperger's for a very long time, until suddenly, like, once they get into adulthood, they just start to lose their mind because they can no longer hide how different they are. Once you get to know yourself to such a deep level as you do, as you just grow older and older and older, and you find out more and more things about yourself, I don't know, man. It's just, I used to be so confused. Why aren't people, I used to be so confused. I thought everyone was like me. I was so shocked to realize that other people didn't do the things that I did, or saw things the way I saw them. And it's just been a constant conflict my entire life. And I know that sounds so cliche, and I hear these other girls on YouTube say it that way, and it really does just sound like, oh, that's what everyone feels. And yeah, it's not like these kinds of experiences are not understandable by the human brain or by a normal everyday person, but to be plagued by this kind of thing where it becomes part of your identity throughout your entire life, and then as I just feel like as we got into my 30s, it's just like I can't even take it anymore. Whenever I get too overwhelmed with emotion, I just tell myself to think of white cartoon bunnies bouncing around, and I really make myself visualize them, and it works, and every time it helps me snap out of it no matter what's happening. So I just think white bunnies, white bunnies. But anyway, just where you feel like you can't function. You can't function in normal communities anymore. Anyway, so let's go on. I took the Aspie Quiz. I watched this video by this girl who took who was answering the questions to Samantha Kraft's unofficial like Aspie checklist, which is not diagnostic, but it was, and but it's just like a mom who has Asperger's, who also has a child with Asperger's, just trying to help put more voices out there, since it's so new, about what it's like to be a woman with Asperger's and what she's seen in her children and herself and the differences. Anyway, and I was going to answer that, but I haven't even looked at it because I listened to this girl. She was saying, trying to explain her answers to this unofficial checklist, explaining why she thinks she has Asperger's. Well, just why she might coincide with Asperger's, and there was another video later on where she said she went to get a diagnosis. I didn't really watch it, but, and every time I was just like, girl, I got you beat by like 1,000% on that one. You know, she would tell some personal story demonstrating, like the way her mind works and how her existence has been, and I would be like, that's a good example. Mine is a little more extreme, let me tell you mine. I would be like, bam, I got you on this one. So anyway, but in so doing, I got distracted reading about it because I wanted to read more about it, and I had heard of and finally just took something called the Aspie Quiz online, and I took final version 4, and it says, for those who don't know, from what I understand, and I have not done a whole lot of research on this. I've not done extensive research, you know, just moderate research, but I know that's relative to people, but to me. But I've only done just some research on this, but this has been around for a long time. This quiz, well, relatively, it's an online quiz, so how long can, you know, I was born in '83, so how long can it be out? The internet's only existed for so long. So, but you can read more about it. It's tried to adjust so that it correlates more and more and more with Asperger diagnoses and with people who have Asperger's, to try to help, you know. I think I found the thing. Here it is. Here's what it says the Aspie Quiz is for. The goal of this test is to check for neurodiverse, which I guess is the language they're trying to use to replace, or I don't even know if that's the right verbiage, but to kind of replace this idea of mental illness and things like that, just being like neurodiversity, which I think is pretty, yeah, I like that. But anyway, for neurodiverse or neurotypical traits in adults. The neurodiversity classification can be used to give a reliable indication of autism spectrum traits prior to eventual diagnosis. So usually it's just, I guess what I've done, it's been used to try to help guide people, you know, and to be more and more accurate in helping to guide people. The autismsociety.org said Asperger syndrome was first described in the 1940s by a Viennese, I say that right, pediatrician Hans Asperger, who observed autism-like behaviors and difficulties with social and communication skills in boys who had normal intelligence and language development. Many professionals felt Asperger syndrome was simply a milder form of autism and used the term high-functioning autism, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a person who's a big stickler on, you know, labels, more so just what people mean. So, I guess as famous, some neuroscientists famously described individuals with Asperger's as just having a dash of autism. Anyway, it goes on and on. I don't go somewhere else to get the history, so I took the Aspie Quiz, and my result, now there were a couple questions that I found out afterwards when I went to like further results, look further into, you know, what your answers were and stuff, and I didn't read all of it again because I was in a hurry, but I forgot to answer a couple of the questions, which happens to me all the time on online tests, and it's because of the monotony of the layout, and my brain will leave the page as I begin to think about the question. When I come back to it, I can't recall where I was at, and even after I answer that question, trying to go down to the next question and know that I'm on the very next question and haven't skipped some is very hard for me. I know that sounds stupid, but it just always has been an issue. I hate online tests for that, and I had to be very, very careful. And on this one, before I hit submit, I said, Jamie, you should go back and check your questions like you always do. Make sure you haven't missed any. And I didn't. I just clicked submit, and then I found out I forgot a couple questions. But it's okay, because when I saw them at the end, they were just going to push me more towards that, having Aspie-ness, or Aspie as an Asperger. So, but my your neurodiverse Aspie score was 143 of 200. Your neurotypical non-autistic score was 69 of 200. You are very likely neurodiverse, or Aspie. And then it gives this little diagram that it's made. Let's see if we can show this. So this is just kind of fun. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't. Yeah, you can. So the red side is neurodiversity, and the blue side is neurotypicalness, which means a person who doesn't have Asperger's or autistic traits. And the black is my brain, supposedly, according to intellectual skills and, like, what's the other one? Personal skills or people skills? People skills. And the black, and so I just lean a little more towards neurodiverse, because that black line supposedly is where I landed on this test. So, I don't know. I just thought it was fun. And I wanted to post it. I kind of did want to be a part of just, that small community I found of just, women kind of discovering this, and everyone, I don't know. That's just all I have to say about it, I guess. I'm not going to go through Samantha Kraft's unofficial thing, because this video will be way too long. But this is Jamie, and this is what we've had to say today about Asperger's and my Acopower solar thing that I saw or have on the bus. All right, thank you. Goodbye.